Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Chris Maloney is with you for the Throwdown with Chris Maloney, episode number 1, taking place live tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. It is Thursday, September the 7th, 2023. And if you're listening to me for the very first time, thank you very much. I wanted to bring back CWN Weekly, as people might remember it. But when I looked at things, it has been 27 months since I did the last episode of CWN Weekly, June 5th, 2021. So 27 months ago was the last time I did a podcast related to something that wasn't Predicts or wasn't the Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame presented by CWN. So that being said, I want to bring something back that was a little more relaxed, something different. Main thing, like I said, a little more relaxed, so you won't see a weekly time frame. You'll see episodes come in, come out, so to speak, but the main thing is, with regards to the Throwdown with Chris Maloney, it's when I feel I need to come on air, talk about things with regards to podcasts, wrestling, MMA, pro boxing, the Canadian independent wrestling scene, of course, and it's been on my mind for a while now since, the original concept of the Throwdown with Chris Maloney was going to be a weekly kind of a blog, so to speak, on the CWN website. But I took it one step further and said, you know what? I want to do podcasting again. I want to be able to bring it back properly, and I want to be able to bring it back without any kind of set mandate as far as timelines go. But this is episode 1. I am Chris Maloney. I still am as handsome as ever, and I'm London, Ontario, Canada, of course. And like I said, last time I did a podcast was back June 5th, 2021. So it's been a long time coming, a long time running. A huge Tragically Hip fan, by the way. As you can see, Boston Red Sox fan. They're nearing the playoffs. I don't think they're there yet. Officially today, NFL season starts. Patriots fan as well, with regards to the other sports, Toronto Raptors, Ottawa Senators, New Jersey Devils, as well as London Knights with OHL here in the city, and the Western Mustangs, of course. And I got a shout out to my hometown, St. John Sea Dogs, who are my hometown, St. John, New Brunswick. I am a Maritimer, and proud to be in Ontario, but if retirement came about tomorrow, I would want to go back to the Maritimes, that is for sure. So you'll see a little bit of familiarity with regards to CWN Weekly, as well as the Throwdown with Chris Maloney. With regards to some of the stuff, other stuff you'll see that's going to be brand new. And you know what? Being the first show, I'm going to give it a little bit of a format, kind of go from there. Any questions, comments, chris@cwnonline.ca. If you're watching live, you can always, chat with me as I'm doing this. Feel free to comment, questions, whatever the case may be. But again, best way to get in contact with me, social media at Chris Maloney CWN, as well as email chris@cwnonline.ca. So, as I used to do CWN Weekly wise, I'm going to start out doing the same thing with regards to the Throwdown with Chris Maloney. That is shouting out birthdays, anniversaries, stuff I think is important. So anniversaries, birthdays. Elias the Spartan Theodoro passed away on September 11th, 2022. So almost a year ago, 34 years old, way too soon. Stage 4 colon cancer. And, he was MMA fighter, UFC, as well as I think he might have went to Bellator at one point in time. I'm not quite sure. But 34 years old, stage 4 colon cancer. That is way too young. But that was September 11th, 2022. He ended up passing away. Klondike Wrestling made their debut in Edmonton, Alberta on September 11th, 1948. If the relevance doesn't hit you, think Stu Hart, because Klondike Wrestling eventually formed into Stampede Wrestling, and they made their debut again September 11, 1948, Edmonton, Alberta, as Klondike Wrestling. So kind of cool there. Mike Muckin Singh passed away September 11th as well. September 11th, I mean, besides the Twin Towers, obviously a big day with regards to wrestling. Mike Muckin Singh Shaw passed away September 11, 2010, 53 years old, pulmonary embolism. He was also known as Norman the Lunatic, as well as Bastion Booger, for those WWE fans. But to me, he'll always be Muckin Singh. And the reason for it is because Stampede Wrestling used to always show 6 p.m. TSN Monday nights. That to me was as big as the WWE, WCW, NWA back in the day, as well as Atlanta Grand Prix Wrestling. Those were my go-tos when I was growing up in the Maritimes. But Muckin Singh, Mike Shaw, will always be known as Muckin Singh. And actually, a couple days ago, I was digging through all my wrestling stuff, probably 6 or 7 totes, and I ended up finding Muckin Singh's autograph that he, I got to meet him in 1999, which is kind of cool. But 53 years old, way too soon as well. Birthdays. So on the 12th, coming up, George Chuvalo. Boom Boom is his nickname, 86 years old on the 12th. He is most known for, with regards to fighting Muhammad Ali, back in the day. He's one of Canada's greatest athletes, but George Chuvalo on the 12th celebrates his 86th birthday there. And Angelina Love, with regards to Impact 1000 coming up. She celebrates a birthday on the 13th. She's going to be 42 years old. First time I ever got to see her was a Canadian Independent Wrestling event. She was Angel Williams, I believe, was her name back in the day. But Angelina Love, 42 years old on the 13th. So that is it for birthdays and anniversaries. I want to touch base as well with regards to a couple other things. So this coming from WB.com, Adnan Al-Kaisi, General Adnan, passes away. This was yesterday. WB is saddened to learn that Adnan Al-Kaisi, known to sports entertainment fans as Billy White Wolf, Sheikh Adnan Al-Kaisi, and General Adnan, passed away on September 6th at 84 years old. Debuting in 1959, Al-Kaisi wrote in his biography that he was born in Baghdad. He had an amateur wrestling career in Iraq and attended Oklahoma State University. Obviously, he went on to win championships in the WWF as well as AWA, World Class Championship Wrestling. He was a part of as well. The cool thing about him, besides Stampede Wrestling and besides Atlanta Grand Prix Wrestling, AWA was on all the time. It used to be TSM, but it was almost like an ESPN affiliate back in the day. And so I grew up with those feuds, the Midnight Rockers, Baron von Raschke was one of my favorite wrestlers. Had the Pretty Boy Doug Summers, as well as Playboy Buddy Rose. Obviously you had their champion there, Nick Bockwinkel. And, it was after the time of Andre the Giant, Gene Okerlund, Mean Gene, Bobby the Brain Heenan, those guys there. But to me, AWA was a big part of my life growing up when I was a kid. And with regards to that, AWA, when I think of Adnan Al-Kaisi, obviously he went on to become General Adnan, the Triangle of Terror, so to speak, with regards to wrestling. Sergeant Slaughter, Colonel Mustafa, the Iron Sheik, back in 1991, winning that championship. Slaughter did at the Royal Rumble against the Ultimate Warrior. I almost cried. It's a huge Ultimate Warrior fan. And then basically, going on to WrestleMania, Slaughter did to lose to Hulk Hogan. And then obviously the match made in heaven, the match made in hell, and the Triangle of Terror against Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam that year. Sid Justice as referee. But thoughts and prayers out to the family, friends, of General Adnan. So, Adnan Al-Kaisi, as they call him. But 84 years old, long life, and he was a staple in my life when I was a teenager growing up as a wrestling fan there. I also want to touch base on this, guys, because I haven't had a chance to. It was a rough couple of days. With regards to August the 23rd and the 24th. The 23rd was, the legendary Terry Funk passed away. August 24th, Bray Wyatt passed away. I remember logging into CWN and being like, man, I was like, I was posting about something, and all of a sudden I go into Wrestling Observer and see that Bray Wyatt's passed away, and just kind of shook my head. It's like, this can't be real. All of a sudden you go, and the news reports that follow up, and it's one of those things where it's hard to believe. And truth be told, I am one of the I guess, contributors to the Wrestling Observer website. My main focus is Impact Wrestling. Last year, I was doing a full-time basis, stepped down to part-time, so I help out when I can. Impact Wrestling is still the main focus, but I got asked to do the tribute show with regards to Bray Wyatt. So I had to do, I shouldn't say I had to do, I wanted to do SmackDown on, the 25th there. So I did that, the recap there for the Wrestling Observer. You can go check that out. Just search Chris Maloney. You'll see everything I've done there. But I was expecting a tough show, and I even said to my boss, so to speak, at the Observer, I said, I'm not sure what the format's going to be. I said, I remember when Owen Hart passed away and Eddie Guerrero passed away. I remember how emotional that was. And with Bray Wyatt, I teared up when Michael Cole got on screen. They did the 10-bell salute. You saw Eric Rowan as well as Braun Strowman on the stage. And then all of a sudden, it just became almost like a normal tribute show. I mean, it was still sad, but they did their best to honor Terry Funk. They did their best to honor Bray Wyatt. And it was tough for me recapping the show, but it was an honor as well. But just wanted to touch base and say thoughts, prayers, and strength with Terry Funk's family, Bray Wyatt's family. I know it's been a couple weeks, but again, it's one of those things that you think 2023 and the people that we've lost, and those are two of them. And like I said, the news came out yesterday about General Adnan passing away as well. So. It's tough being a wrestling fan sometimes, and I told my wife that. I said, with regards to wrestling, it's tough because the fact is, you get used to these characters, so to speak. It's not like a TV show. These characters can exist for 40, 50 years, and the next thing you know, you lose them. And it doesn't matter if you lose them in their 80s or lose them in the 30s. It still hurts, and it sucks as a wrestling fan, but it's, it's part of the business, so to speak. So, again, just wanted to touch base on the birthdays, the anniversaries, as well as the people that passed away. With regards to format of the show, you're going to see me in the future do what's called tidbits and topics. Tidbits are going to be stuff like, for example, Becky Lynch. she wasn't able to board the plane going over to India because apparently her passport was ripped. Stuff like LA Knights, apparently signed a new contract with the WWE. Kairi Sane's on the way back to the WWE. So stuff like that's going to be tidbits. You're going to hear me talk about stuff, but not necessarily go into full deep detail about it. And then all of a sudden, you're going to hear me talk about stuff with regards to topics. So stuff I want to talk about, stuff I feel needs to be mentioned. So for example, CM Punk, and everybody's heard about it the past week or so. But the fact is, it's a big story, and there's stuff that keeps coming out. So for example, tidbit would be Ace Steel. Ace Steel was officially released earlier today, so he is gone out of AEW for the second time. CM Punk, with regards to him, it's interesting because of the fact is I've seen a lot of comments from several wrestlers, several websites, and it's an interesting topic because of the fact CM Punk, I even said this when everything, hit and all in. He's toxic. Get rid of him. I even tweeted, go at Chris Maloney CWN on I almost said Twitter, but it's X now. Go on there and you'll see my thoughts about Tony Khan. And I said, Tony Khan needs to release this guy because he's toxic. And that was my thoughts on the 27th of August. Fact is, I read this article, I think it's called Matt Matters on Slam Wrestling in regards to CM Punk. And it's basically hits the nail on the head. He can be as toxic as he wants to be, but the fact is he doesn't own his wrestling company, and he's not, he's not one of his own employees. He's an employee, but he's an employee for AEW owned by Tony Khan. So the fact is, it's interesting because there was a lot of references in the Matt Matters, article with regards to WCW, the inmates, so to speak, running the asylum. It's 100% accurate. It's 100% true, and it makes you think. Tony Khan needs structure. He has to stop being friends with these guys and basically put his foot down and be like, this is my company. This is the way that things are going to run. If you don't like it, you can leave. And, and that's it. There's the door. And CM Punk, with regards to his career in AEW, it's not going to go down as anything special. That night that he came back, man, I watched that clip probably on YouTube, probably 20 times over. It was amazing, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, it just became toxic from there. And the fact is, with regards to CM Punk, there's a lot of comments right now. He's going to go back to, WWE. Is Impact Wrestling going to pick him up? Is NWA going to pick him up? And the fact is, I don't know. And honestly, I don't want to see them pick him up. I want these companies to focus on young talent that they can get through 10 years from now and still remain a topic. He's toxic, and the fact is, when you think about why he left the WWE and think about when he went into MMA, And then all of a sudden he failed at that, and all of a sudden next thing you know, he's on the sidelines. He comes back on that Fox show with Renee Paquette, Renee Young back in the day, and all of a sudden next thing you know, he disappears again. It shows up in AEW and everything that went down there, and he got released. And there's a lot of comments with regards to why he got released. It wasn't that all-in thing. I think Tony Khan kind of, went out of his way to make it look worse than it actually was. He said he feared for his life. I don't believe that at all. I think he had a wrestler under contract that he wasn't able to see eye to eye with, and he was like, okay, I can't control this guy, so now what? So I think that's a little bit to be talked about there. But the fact is, CM Punk's gone. Ace Steel is now gone as well. And Jericho made some comments. Chris Jericho made some comments recently as well with regards to CM Punk, and said he talked to CM Punk at All In that day, and all of a sudden, it was he said he was joking around, telling him he's going to steal moves, joking around, saying, hey, are you going to do this move? Because if you're not, I am, and so forth, and this and that. And the fact is, it's one of those things. Like I said, guys, I'm doing this live, so if you got comments, let me know, and I will post them here on the show. So Random Rick Reviews, RRR. The less CM Punk, the better. 100% agree with that. I mean, the truth is, he's toxic, and he's not, he's not part of the 2023 business that I want to see as far as pro wrestling goes. All in, all out thoughts. I'll be honest, I've only seen highlights. I've got both shows on the PVR. I've not watched them yet. It's 7 hours of wrestling. I've got to go through, and I know some of the good matches. I know that All Out wasn't going to be one of those topics of discussion that was supposed to happen this week, and that main event match between Moxley and Orange Cassidy absolutely killed it. I did watch Dynamite last night. The cool thing is that the way that Cassidy came out at the beginning of the show, and Moxley ended up retaining the title, and the way the show went down, I gotta say this, Dynamite last night was perfect. It was one of those good shows. All of a sudden Cassidy came out, said hey to the fans, thank you very much, got his respect, and then they played it out to what feuds are going to highlight. All of a sudden Don Callis saying that basically he's got a picture that's been painted, and he's going to release that next week to say who Takeshita is going to go after next week. If they've got the feud happening between not Miro, I want to say Miro, but the feud happening right now between Samoa Joe and MJF. Adam Cole still in that picture there. Roderick Strong advancing, in the tournament eliminator going into Grand Slam. It's interesting, but I got to say, last night's show with regards to Dynamite was awesome, and I watched NXT as well, and NXT on Tuesday was amazing as well. The way that ended, they cut to black because of friggin' Braun Breaker and Von Wagner, and Braun Breaker, apparently word is, accidentally did hit the stairs on Von Wagner, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. What they do show on social media, everything else. But a good couple shows this week. From there, Trish Stratus, farewell. If it is, she went out looking good. I mean, Becky Lynch in a cage. If you go to the exclusive stuff on YouTube, you'll be able to see Trish Stratus say a proper farewell to the fans that night. She did the courtesy bow that she always does at the top of the stage. The fans were chanting, "Thank you, Trish." And I was there, SummerSlam 2019 at Scotiabank Arena, saw her fight Charlotte Flair, thought that was it. And but the fact is, it's been an amazing run for her, and seeing her on Canada's Got Talent, and yes, I'm a fan of that show. I watch it alongside my wife, but seeing her on that show, and then all of a sudden seeing her back in the ring is it's like two different dimensions of Trish. But she'll always be loved, obviously, as a Canadian. But if that was her farewell, good for her going out. Obviously losing to Becky Lynch in the cage, and then Zoe Stark attacking her post match, but she deserved it. But anyways, it was well done. Well done as well. Payback was pretty good as well. I never thought I'd see Sami Zayn as well as Kevin Owens drop the straps, but they did. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of direction they go. Especially with Sami Zayn being by himself this past Monday night on Raw. Something else I want to mention, Gunther, 454 days as of today, June 10th, 2022 through September 7th, 2023. So today, 454 days as Intercontinental Champion. Honky Tonk Man was 454 days as well. June 2nd, 1987 through August 29th, 1988. Lost the title against, obviously, the Ultimate Warrior in that squash. Won the title against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. But as of today, as of right now, as of recording this show, they are tied. So if by chance Honky Tonk Man decides to sneak attack Walter and win that championship sometime in the next couple hours, he can lay claim to the fact that they're tied for champion. But obviously WWE putting it out there that basically with regards to the championship, Gunther wasn't going to defend it anymore this week. So as of tomorrow, officially, as far as the record books go, Gunther is the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion at 455 days plus, and we'll see where that goes there. I mentioned earlier, Becky Lynch unable to travel to India for the Superstar Spectacle, and that is not airing on the network or Peacock as far as I know. I haven't seen that listed there, but yeah, that'll be one of those tidbits, like I said, in future shows. And this is big here. WB Endeavor deal expected to close next week. So the big news is, and this is how long since it's been since I did a podcast, but the fact is, when it comes down to it, Endeavor, WB. So Endeavor bought the WB. It's going to coexist with the UFC. A deal is going to be finalized next week or a week after, with regards to the two. So that being said, what happens is it's a great thing because you've got WB and UFC under the same umbrella. Stock market price is obviously going to probably go up because of the two companies being involved with each other officially. What I'm concerned about is not necessarily UFC, but WB. The amount of backstage staff, the amount of producers, the amount of people on video, people on the websites, doing the website, so to speak. How many of them are going to lose their jobs because they've got basically column A with certain talent, column B with certain talent, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, hey, these guys have the exact same talents, so why are we keeping both of them on? Who is going to maintain? Who is going to stay? Who's not going to stay? And I can see a lot of cuts happening, as well as the WB roster. Now, apparently, there's a lot of people on the roster right now that have been signed but have not been used. Carlito is one of them. We've seen him, obviously, but he hasn't been back at full capacity. AOP, Authors of Pain, apparently have been back for a while. Paul Ellering has apparently been back for a while as well. That being said, once this deal takes place officially, will we see these guys come up? Will we see these guys released, Eric Young style? And not just that, how many people are going to be released with regards to the WB roster that haven't been used well, so to speak? A lot of these guys right now going down, being sent down to NXT, so to speak. Baron Corbin's one of them. Mustafa Ali, I want to say that properly. He's been another one as well. It's been plenty of people from the main roster going down to NXT just to get some airtime. And the fact is, how many of these people are going to go down to NXT past this merger, and how many of these people are going to end up getting released? So that is a sad part of the merger. I mean, it's a great thing, but the fact is, it's sucks as well. From there, Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, UFC rumors. Now, with both companies being under the same umbrella, it's not going to be as hard to go back and forth as far as the talent goes. Are we going to see somebody like John Jones in the WB? Are we going to see somebody like Conor McGregor in the WB? Will we see Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey back in, the UFC? Both former champions. Now, that being said, USADA has a 6-month rule. So basically, what's been talked about is UFC 300 as far as Ronda Rousey goes. That's going to be taking place in March or April 2024. That being said, Ronda Rousey wants to compete in UFC 300. She has to get that 6 months in, which means timing for that USADA pool, that USADA testing is coming up soon. So depending on when that date sets, if Ronda Rousey ends up going back in the USADA pool, we know she's UFC bound. Now, I did read someplace, I forget where it was, with regards to Dana White saying there are exceptions to those rules, and Ronda Rousey obviously could be one of those exceptions, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But like I said, with the merger taking place, it's going to be interesting to see who goes where, what UFC faces show up in the WB, and what WB faces end up showing it up in UFC, or going back to UFC. So that'll be interesting as well. From there, guys, UFC 293 taking place on Saturday. That should be a great card as well. Israel Adesanya defending, I believe it's the middleweight championship. I'm just going to bring that up quickly here. Try to follow MMA the best I possibly can, but there's so much wrestling on. Cool thing about this is, so Israel Adesanya defends the UFC middleweight championship against Sean Strickland, taking place Saturday, September 9th, 9 p.m. Central, so 10 p.m. Eastern, taking place in Sydney Olympic Park, Australia. So that is going to be cool there. A lot more comments have come in. I don't know how I missed these, so I'm going to post them now. Where are we? So Random Rick Reviews, Triple R. just going to say Triple R. Never saw the appeal, even in WWE. I don't pay too much to AEW aside from what Athena does in ROH. Athena's doing great things at ROH, by the way. She's very strong as far as being women's champion goes. She's defending the championship really good, and it makes her NXT WWE days look like a real big thing of the past, because she's doing well with regards to our ROH Ring of Honor. From there, heard it was a decent wrestling show. Not sure what he's talking about there. Maybe Payback or one of the AEW shows there. Random Rick reviews Triple R as once again. Saw she pulled out of the Widow's Peak to nice. And from there we go. Random Rick reviews Triple R once again. Dang, Honky Tonk held that record for a long time. And it's the cool thing is about that, I believe it was, I think they said 35 years. I think I read somewhere it was 35 years for Honky Tonk. So that's absolutely insane. But I mean, he's the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. It's just simply put like that. But again, guys, UFC 293 taking place Saturday. So if you're a fan of Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland, UFC Middleweight Championship on the line in Australia, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, it's pretty much the same time zone, which is kind of weird for Australia. I'm not sure what the time zone difference is, but I know Japan is like 4 or 5 hours ahead, I think. So it's God, that would be, I don't even want to think about that. From there, guys, one of the big things that happened today, and this was kind of cool as a MMA fan, and I'm just going to bring this up, kind of getting used to where these articles are once again, but this comes courtesy of UFC.com. And Georges St-Pierre to be inducted into Canada Sports Hall of Fame. Big news. Names of legendary Gretzky, Howe, Orr, Lewis, Richard, and Nash. And, Maurice Rocket Richard, not Richard. On October 19th in Gatineau, Quebec, the sporting icons will be joined by one of their own in Canada Sports Hall of Fame. As it was announced Thursday that former UFC welterweight and middleweight champion Georges St-Pierre will be the recipient of the highest honor an athlete can receive in Canada, the Order of Sport. This marks not only the first time a UFC athlete has been recognized in such a manner, but the first time a mixed martial artist has received the Order of Sport. And there's no other athlete more deserving than the Pride of Montreal, a fighter who put MMA on the mainstream map of Canada, and then went on to become one of the greatest ever to wear 4-ounce gloves, earning him a place in the UFC's Hall of Fame class of 2020. So congratulations, Georges Rush St-Pierre, going into Canada's Sports Hall of Fame there. That is big news coming out of the UFC. And from there, guys, we go into more UFC news, and so this will be just a tiny little bit of it. UFC 5 trailer came out today on YouTube. I've played the games in the past, but it's been a while with regards to UFC. But Israel Adesanya, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, as well as Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going to slow down and I'll be able to pronounce them properly. They are the cover athletes so far. Basically, John Jones was released in the trailer, or was shown in the trailer as well. Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, as well as Fedor Emelianenko. He was shown in the trailer as well as pre-orders, so it looks like it's going to be a great game. If you look at the graphics, you look at the detail as far as the sweat, the gear, the blood. The referees checking on whether or not the bout should be stopped. It's looks like going to be the best UFC game of all time. So that being said, official release date August 24th, I think, is the pre-release, so the 3 days early. August 27th is going to be the release date, and they're going to next gen as far as games consoles go. That being said, PlayStation 5 as well as Xbox Series S and X. I have the Series S, so I'm excited about that. And that being said, talking about gaming still, with regards to games, thoughts on AEW Fight Forever personally? It's okay. Wasn't a big fan of the non-entrances, so to speak. So you see the guy, you hear the music, it goes on for about 3 to 5 seconds. That's it. You don't see the full entrance. Looked at the menu. No options as far as creating a better entrance, longer entrance, so to speak. The roster was kind of stale. Now, with that being said, it did take a while to launch, so it is what it is. It's their first game that they ever come out with. Hopefully the second game, they don't take as long to come out with the game itself, as well as they have better characters, everything else. it's been hit and miss. It is fun when you start playing it, but there's certain aspects that just seem almost like redundant. And when I say redundant, it's just kind of like, oh, I hit this move. Oh, I hit this move again. I hit this move again. I hit this. Okay, and it's not like WB 2K23. 2K23, I wish I had more time to play because I absolutely love it. All of the basically, the people out there that make up these wrestlers, give them new gear, make up these titles, logos, everything else, props to them because they make the game fun. I've got WB 2K23, I've got the Young Bucks as part of that game, I've got Kenny Omega as part of that game, Sergeant Slaughter, Iron Sheik part of that game as well. So I'm loving the creations, and there's this this group that's on YouTube called Smack Talks, and Smack Talks is phenomenal because the fact is every now and then they put out like a 10-minute clip. They tell you where to go to basically find these wrestlers, how to download these wrestlers, what creators are have created these wrestlers, hashtags, titles, everything else. I've actually got Demolition in WWE 2K23. Was a huge fan of them growing up as a kid, and I was honored to see that somebody had actually created them with the face paints, different type of face paints as well. So you get two different variants, two different versions, as well as the masks and the getup, and it brought me back to old school Demolition days, and just being a gamer when I was a kid growing up as a teenager. Last little bit of news with regards to tidbits as well as topics. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Why do I ever bother to say NJPW? New Japan Pro Wrestling announces date for World Tag League 2023. That was courtesy of the Wrestling Observer. So that I'm going to see if I actually have it here just to give you guys the dates. I'm a huge fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Have been for probably the longest time, as long as I can remember. Went to Forbidden Door back in June in Toronto. That was phenomenal. Saw two of the greatest matches of all time with regards to Okada and Danielson, as well as Will Ospreay and obviously Kenny Omega. But 2023 edition of New Japan's World Tag League has officially been announced. Promotion revealed today. Annual tournament will begin on November 20th and conclude in Kumamoto on December the 10th. And obviously there was an official announcement by New Japan Pro Wrestling Global on X. I'm going to get used to saying X as opposed to Twitter. That announced it there. And the Super Juniors usually coincides with that as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the World Tag League. But obviously everything leads into Wrestle Kingdom, which is on my bucket list to go see live, either not 2024, but either 2025 or 2026. And trying to convince the wife to come with me there, but not sure that's going to happen. So for there, guys, last little bit of news with regards to topics as well as tidbits is what's coming up with regards to Impact Wrestling. So we got two big shows taking place. One that's going to be on pay-per-view tomorrow, as well as one that is going to be taped on Saturday, and that will be aired next Thursday night on September the 14th. So first one I'm talking about, excuse me, catch my breath, Friday, September 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, White Plains, New York. Impact Wrestling Victory Road takes place. Impact Plus, Impact Wrestling Ultimate Insiders on YouTube, as well as Fight. Oh, excuse me. It's been a while since I did this. Main event, Josh Alexander takes on Steve Macklin. We've got Trinity taking on Alicia Edwards with the Impact Knockouts World Championship on the line. World Tag Team titles, Rascals taking on the Motor City Machine Guns. We've got Jordan Grace returning against Deonna Purrazzo. Bully Ray taking on PCO in an Anything Goes match. X Division Championship match, Leo Rush defending against Kushida, as well as title versus career, Kenny King taking on Tommy Dreamer. If Tommy Dreamer loses, that is it. He is done. Actually kind of looking forward to that match. One of the matches of the 7 the most there, Tommy Dreamer and Kenny King. I'm not sure if they're going to line up anything with regards to Impact Wrestling tonight. This takes place in about 27 minutes, but I'm not a big fan of spoilers. I mean, I'll post them on the website, but I'm not necessarily, as far as Impact Wrestling goes, I don't necessarily go into details as far as spoilers go. I like to enjoy the show as it takes place, but Dreamer and King should be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they announce anything more tonight. That being said, CWN Predicts will launch tomorrow. Should be live 3 p.m. on Facebook, Facebook, Twitch, as well as YouTube. I've been doing it on the website, cdbononline.ca in the past, but I should be able to do a live edition tomorrow as far as Victory Road goes, and my CDBN predicts tomorrow at 3 p.m. It'll be on the website or it'll be on YouTube, one of the two, but it will take place. And guys, from there, we will go into Impact 1000 taking place on Saturday, being taped on Saturday. This is huge. I didn't realize that they were so big into 1000 episodes until I think it was 992, 993 or something like that. They started announcing it. I was like, holy crap. I was like, I didn't realize that they're that heavy, they've been around. I realize they've been around 20 years, but I didn't realize that, they've been that many episodes of Impact. So that being said, Impact Wrestling 1000 episode live in White Plains, New York on Saturday, September 9th. Tickets are still available, taking place at the Westchester County Center. So taking place, Team 3D together for the first time in 7 years. It's got a picture of them as well as silhouettes on the other side. So it looks like they are tag teaming. As well, Trinity, Jordan Grace, Awesome Kong, Gail Kim, and To Be Determined with Rasha Saeed. I think I pronounced that right. Rasha Saeed, she's Awesome Kong's former manager, I believe, taking on Deanna Perrazzo, Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, Angelina Love, and To Be Determined with Velvet Sky, who I thought was still wrestling, but she's not, as well as Jay Vidal in their corner. So two mystery opponents to be announced in that match. Tracy Brooks coming out of retirement. Frankie Kazarian, Tracy Brooks taking on Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards. Alex Shelley taking on Trey Miguel, defending the World Championship against Miguel there. Ultimate X returns. The return of Feaster Fired should be interesting there. Don't necessarily want to see anybody fired, but it is taking place. Jake Something taking on Dirty Dango with Alpha Bravo in his corner. And then they have a fan celebration taking place. Excuse me. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday as well. So if you're in White Plains, New York, Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, Awesome Kong, D'Lo Brown, Tommy Dreamer, the Dudley Boys, Team 3D, sorry, and Gil Kim, all going to be at that fan celebration there. So if you're in that area, guys, go definitely check it out. And yeah, it's been a while since I did this for as long as I'm doing it, but voice is starting to crack, so I'm going to take a break, I believe. And just want to make sure I haven't. Oh, no, sorry. One more thing before I take a break. So, upcoming PLE, still getting used to that as well. Premium live events, pay-per-view taking place coming up in the next little bit. So, Impact Wrestling Victory Road 2023 taking place tomorrow, so September 8th. UFC 293 Adesanya versus Strickland taking place September the 9th on Saturday. NXT No Mercy 2023 taking place on the 30th of September. AEW Wrestle Dream 2023 taking place on the 1st of October. Fastlane taking place for the WB on the 7th of October. And then Impact Wrestling with their biggest event of the year, Bound for Glory 2023, taking place on the 21st. So those are the upcoming PLE/pay-per-views. So guys, I'm going to get rid of some of these graphics here. If I can find them. There we go. And you can see me at Chris Maloney CDBN if you want to follow me on social media, mainly Instagram as well as X. I think I'm on Reddit as well. I don't necessarily post on Reddit, but I tend to read the comments on Reddit. But guys, I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to do this little promo graphic. I shouldn't say little promo graphic. I'm going to do this promo graphic for what I consider being one of the up-and-coming Canadian independent wrestling promotions, here in Ontario especially, and that's Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. So guys, check out this promo. I'm going to get a drink of water, and then I'll come back and talk about some Canadian independent wrestling. So guys, check this out here. So guys, there's a promo there for Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. Like I said, one of the most up-and-coming promotions here in the province of Ontario. They've been around a couple of years now, but it's very cool to know how much they're progressing. Been able to see a couple of shows for them. Been able to do a couple of interviews. The last show I was at in St. Thomas, the Elgin County Railway Museum, which was kind of cool as well. It's a different setup, different feel. I tell you that much. I want to say this. They pride themselves in unique atmospheres and venues. I say that because with regards to the Job Site Brewing Company in Stratford, as well as the Elgin County, the Railway Museum there in St. Thomas, it's insane to be able to sit there and watch a wrestling event and all of a sudden see all these big ass trains in the background. Now, I haven't been to Stratford, but I've been to the Elgin County Railway Museum twice in St. Thomas, and both times simply amazed me. Both times I almost fell flat on my face. They got this little kind of peg that sits in the floor there where I was taking most of my pictures. But yeah, cool atmosphere, and hopefully they're back sometime with regards to Hammerlock Pure Wrestling in St. Thomas. But that being said, they are getting ready to indulge, I guess, on a big project. And when I say big project, this is something cool. As me being a fan here in London, Ontario, not only Canadian independent wrestling, but as well as the London Knights hockey. So that being said, Rogers deal is in place. TV premiere for Hammerlock Pure Wrestling on Rogers 13 here in the city, so London, Ontario, Friday, September 22nd, after the Knights game and after the wrap. So they're doing the Knights game, then they talk about the Knights game. After that takes place, now it's nothing set as far as timing goes, but you think about a Knights game, usually about 2.5 hours, the wrap. So you're looking between 10 and 10:30 at night. So watch the game, watch the wrap, watch some Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. And apparently, from what I understand, they're going from show 1. So show 1 will take place. They will do it in chronological order. As far as I know, they got some good commentary in place. It's on Rogers. It's local. Everything about it has been positive. So guys, September 22nd, Hammerlock Pure Wrestling debuts on Rogers Cable TV here in the city. So channel 13 here in London. And digital cable will be different stations, but it is Rogers 13. As far as Rogers, I have Rogers, so that's why I'm continuously saying Rogers 13. But after the Knights games and after the wrap, so that is big news there. On top of that, their next couple of events: Dorchester Fair, Dorchester, Ontario, Monday, October 9th, 1 p.m. Free with admission to the fair. So you can go to the fair, enjoy the fair, and then watch some wrestling at 1 p.m. That is Monday, October 9th. That is Thanksgiving Monday. So guys, keep that in mind, but it's a daytime show. I might go to it simply because it depends on family plans, but the fact is my daughter, 5-year-old daughter, has been wanting to see wrestling live, and every time I think about taking her, it's always too late. It's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock shows, way too late. But when she sees me watching wrestling, or for example, when I went to Forbidden Door, and all of a sudden I was getting excited because I got to see Tetsuya Naito, and she comes up to me and she sees the guy in the white suit, and I'm explaining to her who Naito is, and then the next day, and this is still before Forbidden Door, the next day she goes, "Daddy," I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You know who my favorite wrestler is?" I was like, "Who?" She goes, "Tetsuya Naito," and this is a 5-year-old. She's not pronouncing it right, but you get the gist of it. But I might take her to this show on the 9th, just depending on obviously weather, family. But it's a 1 p.m. show. She'd love the fair as well, so if I can make it happen, I'm going to make it happen. This will be her first wrestling show, so I think that is pretty cool there. I don't know about this lighting. I thought I had the lighting proper, but it looks like I've got shine on my face. Yeah, see? My back up like that, but then I'm not close to the mic, so I'm going to adjust that for the next show. I'm going to get so I've got like a lamp going on. I'm going to get one of those ring lights, and I'm going to see how the ring light does. Looked on Amazon, and some of them like 54,000 reviews for like $40. I was like, oh, okay, you know what? That can't be a bad thing. From there, guys, like I said, Dorchester Fair, October 9th for Hammerlock, as well as Job Site Brewing Company, Stratford, Ontario, Saturday, November the 4th, taking place at 7 p.m. I've never been to one of those shows. Depends on what's going on, but the atmosphere again, Stratford, you got that the brewery in the background, like I said, with regards to the museum in St. Thomas, you got that kind of background as well. It's a unique atmosphere, and I'd like to go see one of those Stratford shows live. I'm not a big drinker when it comes to wrestling events. I don't see the point as far as sports events, stuff like that as well. But I think the atmosphere alone for Stratford, I think, would be very, very cool as well. From there, guys, Smash Wrestling presents International Fight Night 2023 in London, Ontario, featuring Eric Redbeard, Saturday, September the 16th, 6 p.m. And I was there last year, got to see Joe Hendry, which was hilarious because the fact is, for whatever reason, it wasn't even that hot. I mean, it was nice, but it wasn't even that hot. And the power blew, music shuts down, graphics shuts down, the light shuts down, and there's a picture I think I might have posted on Instagram of Joe Hendry just frozen in time, frozen on the spot on his way to the ring. And it was a cool kind of professional moment, but that happened last year. I don't want to see anything like that happen. Obviously, to Eric Redbeard, Eric Rowan. I'm looking forward to getting to meet him, especially after the passing of Bray, by the way. But it's going to be emotional just for those reasons there. I thought about maybe touching out to get in touch with him with regards to doing an interview. I don't know. It's it's you see interviews and everything else. What would you want to talk about? And it's I don't know if I'd want to. It'd be on my mind to talk about Bray Wyatt, but it's such a sensitive subject, especially when it's only at that point going to be like 3-4 weeks. But I'd like to interview him. I don't know. We'll see. But at least going to go get to see him wrestle and meet him for sure. Guys, I'm going to go into this here, and I'll do my best because there's a lot of them. But I want to get in the habit as well, because I used to do this before pandemic, and that is a bad word, pandemic that is, but mentioning what's coming up as far as events go. And it got to a point I was doing it all the time, and then that stupid P word hit, and then I wasn't able to do it as much. But I'm going to go over the events for this weekend. And guys, I don't know, excuse me if I'll be doing this weekly, but the fact is, when I do the shows, it'll be probably Thursday, Friday nights, I want to say, just depending on scheduling. And the fact is, I'm going to shout out to those shows taking place this, that weekend. So this coming weekend, CW Live is taking place tonight in Minnedosa. Featuring the one and only Jacques Rougeau, followed up by tomorrow in Winnipeg, featuring Jacques Rougeau as well. We have got 365 Pro Wrestling taking place tomorrow, 9:30, and that's a late time, 9:30 p.m. September 8th, taking place in, that's why, it looks like Richmond, BC. So normally I have all the events listed, but I'm doing kind of, it's almost like a graph chart in front of me. Don't mind me, it's my first show back. This Saturday, 5 p.m., Back to School 9. That is Barrie Wrestling, taking place in Barrie, Ontario. We've got Rock Solid Wrestling taking place Saturday at 7 p.m. Anarchy in Angus 19 taking place. CB Live taking place in Gladstone on the 9th as well at 8 p.m. Featuring Jacques Rougeau. We got ASW Attack in Chilliwack. That's kind of cool. ASW Attack in Chilliwack. I like that there. Taking place All-Star Wrestling. That's September 9th at 11 p.m. Eastern. So that's 8 p.m. Pacific. NSW I Love It Loud. So New School Wrestling taking place at the Rock Pile in Toronto. That's Sunday at 1:30 p.m. And then that looks like it's it as far as I got as far as Canadian Independent Wrestling goes. Now, maybe next show, maybe not in this one, but I've got one group developed. One group that's devoted, I guess, to Canadian Independent Wrestling, and then I've got a page devoted to Canadian Independent Wrestling as well. The page itself is where I post all the events. So guys, if you have events that, go to Canadian Independent Wrestling as far as the page goes on Facebook, and if you don't see your event listed, let me know. It's chris@cwnonline.ca, or go to Canadian Independent Wrestling, the group that's on Facebook. Next show I do, I'll show everybody the group as well as the page. But if you type in simply Canadian Independent Wrestling, the page is for the events. The group is for chat as well as promotional stuff and stuff like that. But if you don't hear me talk about your events, it means I'm not aware they're taking place, or it means that basically there wasn't an event listing on your page as far as your independent promotion goes. So guys, keep that in mind. But I will show everybody next time. But chris@cbonline.ca, you can email me that way, or just get in touch on Facebook, Canadian Independent Wrestling, either the page or the group, and let me know that way as well. One other thing I want to mention Canadian Independent Wrestling wise is this, and it relates to pro wrestling as well. The one and only Cody Diener has come out with his own podcast. It is called Wrestling is Life. is wrestling with Cody Deaner. So Wrestling is Life is Wrestling. He's up to episode number 8 as of this morning. So, which is absolutely phenomenal because it's not just 8 podcasts. It's been basically back-to-back episodes with Josh Alexander, back-to-back episodes with, I think he had Rosemary next, back-to-back episodes with Joe Hendry, and then he's got a triple threat with Crazy Steve. And today was the second episode of 3 with Crazy Steve. He's on Patreon as well, and I subscribe to him. It's only $10 a month, and you get to hear the episode live in its entirety, not cut up into 3 different parts, no commercials, no ads, and it's pretty cool. And it's like $10 a month, and you support Deaner doing it that way. Deaner is one of the coolest cats I think I've ever met on the Ontario independent wrestling scene. Relates back to the days of PWX, the first show I ever saw, PWX in Tillsonburg, I want to say 2006. Small bathroom, and I'm in there, and I'm just using the washroom, so to speak. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, Deaner comes in, who at this point he was completely Cody Steele. Comes in, looking at himself in the mirror. He has long hair, no beard, completely different gimmick. Checking himself in the mirror because I'm sure it was probably the only washroom in the Tillsonburg Community Center, I think I want to call it. And that's first impression Cody Deaner, and that was 2006. Now we're 2023, 17 years later. He's doing all of the stuff that he does, the Just Giver, the charity stuff, being a professional and promotional speaker, as well as all of that. And then on top of that, as far as me personally goes, he's part of one of the main classes to ever take place in the Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, class of 2021, because that is when the Just Giver Award, the Just Giver category, was introduced in honor of him. It was myself and Sean and my wife had mentioned, with regards to, hey, we need a category with regards to somebody who goes above and beyond, their role as a wrestler, their role as a human being, so to speak. And he was introduced and inducted 2021. 2022 was the one and only Steven's Wrestling Journey, Steven Strong, Steven Spice went in 2022. Everything that he does, with regards to Chiari malformation and what he's suffering through on a regular basis, but it's all the charity stuff that he does for the Children's Hospital and the toy drives that he does and everything else. And shout out to Steven Spice for being a great human being and doing what you do. And then 2023, this past January, was Rock Solid Wrestling up there in Collingwood, so to speak, and everything that they do for charity and this and that as well. So you can get an idea of what the category is all about with regards to the Just Giver category, the Just Giver Award. And it's basically anybody who goes above and beyond their role as a wrestler, a human being, as a promotion. So it's kind of cool. But that to me means something with regards to Deaner. But long-winded story short is the fact is he's doing his own podcast, but it's not just podcast, it's conversations. And I've said this to him, and I said, you know what, it's like 2 guys who are sitting there and shooting the crap, and basically, just having a conversation about life and having a conversation about the careers and everything else. And it's been very cool to see, like I said, Joe Hendry, Crazy Steve, Josh Alexander, who I'm a huge fan of, never get to meet yet, hopefully sometime soon, as well as Rosemary, and it's been cool because it's not like a podcast like this. It's not just me interviewing somebody who I don't know. It's him literally having conversations with people he's come up with, and it's personal. And the one of the Crazy Steve has been amazing. Rosemary was amazing. And guys, check it out. Wrestling is Life is Wrestling with Cody Deaner. Check it out on YouTube as well as you can check it out on X. And subscribe to him on Patreon and give him that $10 a month. It's well worth it. And he's got some backstage stuff as well. He shows you how he sets up the podcast, how he records promos. His kids every now and then were telling jokes, dad jokes, so to speak. So it was kind of cool as well. But guys, that is it for the show. And I went almost an hour. And it's interesting to be back after 27 months doing something like this again. But that being said, like I said, CWM predicts tomorrow for Victory Road is going to take place either on the website or live. It's going to be video, I'll tell you that. I don't know if it's going to be live, though. It depends on timing because school is back I do have a 5-year-old, and I do have a wife that is a teacher. So it just depends on the timing, as well as it's been. I've been missing this. And it was hard to bring back weekly, and I tried, and I was like, okay, what happens if I do CWN monthly? And so I was like, what happens if I do the CWN podcast? Just like, nah. So I was like, you know what, the Throwdown Chris Maloney episode 1, and here it is, 27 months after the last episode of CWN Weekly in June of 2021. So it's been great. My voice is not used to this anymore. But that being said, I will be back tomorrow for CWN Predicts, as well as the second episode of the Throwdown with Chris Maloney will take place in the very near future. Guys, you can check me out socially at Chris Maloney CWN. So you check out cwnonline.ca. Next show, I'll go into more kind of graphics and stuff like that and show people Canadian independent wrestling groups and the page, and as well as the website. Guys, check it out, cwnonline.ca. The website mainly is, I try to get a lot of news out there, but it is a one-man show. My wife does help contribute, so if I have ideas, stuff like that, she'll help out with, or hey, who do we put in the Hall of Fame next year? So January 18th, 2024, fourth generation of the CPW HOF, Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, presented by CWN, is coming up. So it's going to be here before I know it, but stuff like that she'll help contribute with. But that's why my site, cwnonline.ca, is mainly an aggregator. So I take the news out there, mainly focused on Canadians and Canada and Canadian wrestling, and I take it and I bring it to the site, and I take like a little tidbit. This is back in the days of Dig, by the way. I was a huge fan of Dig, and basically I put up a little blurb, a little tidbit on the website, and be like, hey, here's the headline, here's the blurb, here's the link to go check it out. And I focus primarily, like I said, on Canadian independent wrestling, Canadian wrestling in general, stuff that I think is interesting, breaking news, top stories, stuff like that. And then you'll see exclusive stuff like the stuff I'm doing right now. And like I said, my handsome face still exists, so I want to get it back up there on the website. That's LOL, by the way. But guys, like I said, check me out at Chris Maloney CWN with regards to social media. And guys, that's it. Chris at cwnonline.ca is my email address. You can reach me there. And it's been fun. It's been great. I thought my voice was going to last a lot longer than this, but it hasn't. So I'm going to get some water, and 7:55, so I'm going to catch some Impact Wrestling, and I will be back tomorrow with CWN Predicts Victory Road. So look forward to doing that, and guys, check that out. And if you're listening on audio or watching this show on record, thank you very much for watching, listening. Hit the like, subscribe button, all that sort of jazz, and I'll do what I always used to do. And guys, that is it. And I will see everybody and talk to everybody again sometime soon.